أهلا بكم إلى هذا اللقاء الخاص الذي نجريه مع وزير الخارجية البريطاني جيمس كليفرلي. أهلا وسهلا بك وشكرا لإعطائنا هذا اللقاء. 23 يوما من القصف المتواصل، عملية برية بدأت منذ 3 أيام، آلاف الضحايا. ألم يحن الوقت للحديث في الحلول الشاملة؟
Well, the situation that we see in Israel and Gaza is heartbreaking, and we mourn the loss of all those that have lost their lives. The terrorist attack by Hamas in Israel on the 7th of October took the whole world, was a shock to the whole world. And we have said that Israel has a right to defend itself and secure itself. But of course, we also want to see the protection of the Palestinian people in Gaza. And we have always said to the Israeli armed forces that they have to act with professionalism and restraint, and they have to abide by international humanitarian law. And we've also been a very significant donor to provide humanitarian aid for the Gazans. And we have also said, of course, that there needs to be pauses in the conflict, pauses in the fighting, to get the humanitarian aid to the people that need it, and to have foreign nationals leave Gaza. So we will continue to work on this. We want to make sure that both Israelis and Palestinians can live in safety and security. And we have also said that we want to get the humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza.
بعد قطع الماء والوقود ومع كل التعقيدات فيما يتعلق بالمساعدات الإنسانية، هل برأيك تلتزم إسرائيل بالقانون الدولي وحماية المدنيين وحتى الاتفاقيات الدولية؟
Well, we've had commitments from the Israeli president that Israel will abide by international law, and the political leadership and the military leadership. What we have also seen is that Hamas have been using civilian infrastructure in Gaza to launch attacks into Israel, and that is in breach of international law. This is something we say to the Israelis in every single conversation that we have with them. And we have also called upon Hamas to release the hostages, which is completely in breach of international law, to remove their military infrastructure from places like schools and hospitals, which again is in breach of international humanitarian law. And we want to see the people of Gaza no longer have to suffer. We want to see this resolved, of course, and we will continue speaking with the Israeli government and with the governments in the region who can bring influence on Hamas to act in a way that eases the pressure, eases the pain of the Palestinians in Gaza, and of course also the Israelis as well.
هل تقارن حماس بإسرائيل عندما نتحدث عن احترام القانون الدولي؟
Well, Hamas, the UK regards as a terrorist organisation. We have seen video produced by Hamas showing they're ripping up water pipes that are paid for by the European Union, that are designed to take water to the Palestinians in Gaza, and they're turning those pipes into rockets to attack Israel. We know that Hamas steals from the Palestinian people in Gaza, and we know that the people of Gaza's life, their lives have been made more dangerous because of the actions that Hamas have taken. So we call upon Hamas to release the hostages and to do so now. We want to make sure the humanitarian aid gets through to the people of Gaza, and we will talk directly with the Israelis and apply pressure on Hamas to have those pauses in the fighting so humanitarian aid can get through. And we will, of course, work to try and build a future where the Palestinian people and the Israelis can live in peace and security.
ما الأهم في هذا التوقيت؟ بضع شاحنات من المساعدات كما رأينا حتى الساعة، أم وقف فوري لإطلاق النار؟
So I think realistically calls for a ceasefire will not bring the relief to the Palestinian people that they need now. I think a ceasefire would be slow, would take a long time to negotiate, and at the moment, from the UK's point of view, we haven't seen anything that makes us believe that Hamas would abide by a ceasefire. So what we are pushing for now, immediately, is the circumstances where humanitarian aid can get to the people of Gaza, the Palestinians in Gaza. This means a pause in the fighting. We think that is a more realistic thing to work on today, and we will continue to push for that. And hopefully we can come to a conclusion in the near future where Israel is safe and secure. The people in Gaza no longer have Hamas as the leadership there, because that cannot continue, and that we can work towards a two-state solution with Israelis and Palestinians living side by side in peace and security.
هل بعد بدء المرحلة الثانية من الحرب ونتحدث عن الدخول البري أو التوغل البري تعتبرون أن إسرائيل لا تزال ضمن حدود الدفاع عن النفس؟ شهدنا مطالبات لسكان غزة بالتوجه إلى الجنوب، ولكن أيضا القصف يطال مناطق في جنوب غزة.
Well, we do want to see the civilians in Gaza protected, and we do raise this issue regularly with Israel. We know that Hamas regularly puts civilians into harm's way. They put military facilities within and underneath hospitals and schools and other civilian infrastructure. And in doing so, they are putting Palestinians' lives further at risk. Now, the military, the decisions about the military operations that Israel is conducting, that is for Israel. But we have always said to the Israelis, be conscious of civilian life, protect civilian life. We've seen the Israeli military try to give warnings of where operations will happen in the future. And we want to see, of course, an end to this conflict and the humanitarian aid getting through to the people of Gaza.
هل هذا يبرر بأنه لا مكان آمن داخل القطاع بحسب العديد من المنظمات الدولية؟
Well, I think ultimately what the Israelis say is that throughout the time since the 7th of October, when this appalling, terrible mass murder occurred in Israel, that Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad and others have continually fired rockets from Gaza into Israel. So the attacks are still happening from Gaza into Israel, which is why Israel says that it needs to conduct these military operations. As I say, at the moment, I have seen no evidence that shows me that Hamas or Palestinian Islamic Jihad are serious about peace. None of the things that they have done convince me that that is their position at the moment. But ultimately, what we want to see is the aid that the British people are paying for, that the Emiratis and others have provided. We want to see that aid get from Egypt into Gaza to help the Palestinian people.
هل تلقيتم أي ضمانات من السلطات الإسرائيلية بالسماح باستمرار دخول المساعدات الإنسانية دون عوائق؟
Well, we do of course speak with the Israelis about our desire for this aid to get to the Palestinian people. They express concerns about this aid being stolen by Hamas, particularly things like fuel. We are taking action with the Egyptians, with the international community and with others to give reassurances as far as we are able to that the humanitarian aid will get to the people of Gaza that need it and will not be stolen by Hamas, depriving the Palestinians of the aid that our countries are providing. Now, of course, we need to continue working on that. The aid is going through, but only in very, very small numbers.
3% فقط دخل حتى الساعة من احتياجات القطاع الملحة.
Exactly. It's not as much as is needed, and we will continue pushing to get more aid through.
هل تتخوفون من تمدد الصراع إلى جبهات أخرى وتوسع نطاقه خاصة في جنوب لبنان؟ وماذا تفعلون لتفادي ذلك؟
This is a very, very good question, and we have been working with our friends and partners in the region. We have very good relationships with countries bordering Israel, and we are working as hard as we are able to prevent this becoming a regional conflict. That would be in nobody's interest. And so we speak to the countries around Israel We also speak to Israel about not doing anything that would make the chance or the risk of a regional escalation more likely. This will be an ongoing piece of work, and we very much value the work of our friends here in the UAE and other parts of the Middle East to try and prevent this becoming a situation which is even worse than what we're currently seeing.
ماذا عن حلفاء إيران؟
Well, we know that Iran have been funding Hamas for quite some time. And we know that Hamas has been funding proxies in the region, which have been very, very detrimental to regional security. And therefore, we, of course, keep very, very close eye on what Iran is doing. We're sending a very clear message to Tehran that it would be foolish for them to try and take advantage of this difficult situation and try and escalate the situation. And we will continue working with our friends in the region, including here in the Emirates, to try and ensure that we collectively stay safe from either the attacks from Iranian proxies in the region or organizations that Iran is supporting and funding.
هل يمكن أن تنضم بريطانيا إلى تحالف دولي ضد حماس كما اقترح الرئيس الفرنسي إيمانويل ماكرون الأسبوع الماضي؟
Well, the circumstances with Hamas are very different to ISIS. We, of course, always listen to suggestions from our friends internationally. What we need to do, of course, is we need to make sure that this doesn't spread, that this doesn't become a regional conflict. We need to make sure that we prevent Hamas from attacking Israel and also prevent Hamas from further brutalizing the Palestinian people. And we want to try and get that humanitarian aid through. So at the moment, we're focusing very much on those things. We want the hostages released, we want the aid to get through, and we want to prevent this conflict spreading across the region.
رأينا تظاهرات ضخمة في شوارع لندن تنديداً بالقصف الإسرائيلي على غزة. هل تشعرون بضغط الرأي العام الداخلي لتغيير مقاربتكم للصراع؟
Well, of course we listen to the voices of the British people. But of course, one of the reasons I'm here in Abu Dhabi is that I'm also listening to the voices of our friends directly in the region who have, I think, a very sophisticated and thoughtful assessment of what's going on. So that's why we're here. What we want to do, of course, is we want to make sure this can never happen again. We want to make sure that Israel can be safe and the Palestinian people can be safe and secure, and that will remain the focus of UK foreign policy in the region.
وزير الخارجية البريطاني جيمس كليفرلي، شكرا جزيلا لك على إعطائنا هذا اللقاء.
Thank you.